Hey, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, WNBA.TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks. The filet mignon, of course, the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call. Find out what's for dinner. 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935 for UppercutChops.com. Yes! And a big welcome to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast, as well as everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, and Time Warner Cable, and Wow Cable as well, affiliates in select markets and in hotels from coast to coast in about 550,000 rooms in all Nielsen-rated markets. How do you like that? And of course, a nice welcome to our friends over on Chicago Food Favorites as well. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Check that out. Post your recipes, your favorite recipes. Check out your favorite restaurants. Post your favorite restaurants, whatever it is. And you know what? Have a little fun with it. It's all free and nobody gets paid for anything. It's just a lot of fun. All right, now that we're done with all that, we're going to get into some baseball fun. How about this? How about Mets closer? The New York Metropolitans closer. Now, this guy is very well traveled. I think he's been with, if I'm not mistaken, about 14 different teams across the big leagues. How about Edwin Diaz? You've probably heard of his name. Actually, no, I'm thinking of someone else. Anyway, he's not a well-traveled closer, but this guy's been around for a long time. He's actually supposed to be their superstar. Anyway, this Mets closer, Edwin Diaz, has been ejected. He got ejected for a sticky substance, and he faces a 10-game ban as a very rough season continues. Oh, yeah. Well, guess what? This happens to be baseball in New York, and, you know, it seems to be real sunny on one side over in the Bronx, and it seems to be not so sunny over the other ballpark, which I think is called Citi Field. Now, they changed these stadium names so frequently, I don't even know what to say anymore. Anyway, so despite losing Edwin Diaz late, the Mets still held on to beat the Cubs. Yes, it's always a great day whenever the Cubs lose. Anyway, they did hold on to beat the Cubs in that game, but the stories about Edwin Diaz, and of course, this according to multiple outlets, New York Mets closer Edwin Diaz was ejected before throwing a pitch. And, well, guess what? After umpires determined that he had an illegal sticky substance on his hand. Now, I watched the video. We're going to get to the video in just a minute. It looked like he had something on his thumb, and he couldn't wipe it off. I don't really know if that was the case, but it sure seemed like the case. And, I mean, look, there are things that you cannot do any longer in baseball, and there are things you just never could do, and you're not really allowed to put anything on your hand to give yourself an advantage, because we know the hitters always need the advantage now, and that's according to popular opinion and we'll say folklore. But yeah, the pitchers, forget it. Pitchers don't get any concessions whatsoever. So nonetheless, the embattled right-hander is now facing an automatic 10-game suspension for violating the Major League Baseball's ban on sticky substances. And he has thrown, well, his last pitch for at least a couple of weeks, put it that way. In fact, he has the right to appeal the discipline, though, and I'm not sure if that's going to happen because it seemed like it was pretty obvious this is what happened. Now, of course, the Mets had brought in Diaz to protect a 5-2 lead in the bottom of the ninth inning, but second base umpire Brian Walsh didn't like what he saw during the routine hand check when the reliever entered the game. In fact, after a tense back and forth with Diaz and Mets manager Carlos Mendoza, crew chief Vic Carapazza ejected Mr. Diaz. In fact, we've got an audio clip here. This was courtesy of X. Let's go ahead and play this. It's about 29 seconds. Here you go. Oh. Well, so the umpire's looking. Here it goes.
Inspecting.
So the umpire was looking at his thumb. The umpire then looked at his glove, and he said, you know what? I don't like this. And, of course, Mr. Carapazza got rid of him very, very quick. And, of course, the commentary wasn't very good from the broadcast. So, anyway, as he walked out to the mound, and you could see him flicking his fingers kind of back and forth like he was trying to get rid of something off his fingers. Well, and it sure looked to me, I'm looking at a still shot of it right now, about 27 seconds into a 29-second video. And again, that was courtesy of X. And so from the ESPN broadcast, it sure looked like he had something on his thumb. Now, why would he have it on his thumb versus his fingers? Well, look, there's a lot of reasons. Some pitchers like to put things on their fingers versus some like to put it on their thumbs. Others like to actually put something, when they bury the ball in between their fingers, they'll put something in between so you can't necessarily see it. But when there's like a split-fingered fastball, or either you see the old splitty or something like that, when the fingers are really extended apart, that's when some of that substance could get on the ball, which makes the ball do what? It makes the ball sticky, and it allows the pitcher to spin the ball to increase the spin rate. And why do they do that? Because the ball will curve a little bit more. It'll well, let's face it, with the RPMs increasing, the wind catches the seams a little bit more, and then the ball tends to dip and dive a little bit more depending on which way that the pitcher is spinning the ball. And this is the reason they're checking these. And, look, the umpires, they'll check every inning, whatever, and then they'll spot check certain guys. I don't know. I mean, it's a really tough argument as a former pitcher. I mean, I never used anything. I never had to use anything. I just had good spin rate on the ball. But the amount of money that's being thrown around in these contracts, it leads me to believe that there's a lot of pressure for these pitchers to do something extraordinary. And when I say extraordinary, that's extraordinary. And ordinary is a regular guy like me getting out on the hill and throwing what I would throw. Now, I came out of high school throwing 97 miles an hour, and that was a two-seam fastball. It is what it is. And I had a really, really good slider and a very good knuckle curve and a good screwball, right? So I'd turn the ball over, and it would tail away from the right-handed hitters as a left-handed pitcher. But you see, with the contracts, we didn't get paid crap back then. Once I came out of high school, we got paid $1,200 a month. It was nothing. But what I'm saying here is with the contracts and the performance and all this other crap, money is wrecking sports. Money is wrecking certainly high school sports. I would even argue middle school sports, maybe Little League, maybe, I don't know, Pop Warner football, because now kids are being signed to these NIL deals and all this other crap. And you're seeing so much pressure put on these kids that are playing today. And then what's worse is you see these pitchers, they'll come into the league and they will throw as hard as they can. Well, and needless to say, we're seeing injuries left, right, and center. And the injuries themselves are a whole nother discussion. You're seeing kids in high school and in middle school with Tommy John surgery. What kind of crap is that? Now, we were told as kids, I had great tutelage. My uncle was a pro ball player. My dad's cousin, or my second cousin, or whatever, was a 10-year all-star catcher for the Boston Braves way back in the day, and also a scout for the Chicago White Sox. But I learned at a young age, you're not supposed to throw a bunch of junk. So what you learned how to do is you learned how to change speeds. And by the way, having a good off-speed pitch or a good changeup, just like a guy by the name of Trevor Hoffman, he made a living at that. If you have a good changeup, it's basically your best pitch out there. The hardest pitch to hit is a fastball over and over again. And anybody will tell you the same thing, anybody that knows anything about baseball. However, the best pitch, I believe, in baseball is a straight change. And that ball is basically, it's held deeper into your fingers, deeper, closer to your palm, right? Not like a palm ball, but The further out the fingers are on the ball, meaning if you're out on your fingertips, you're going to basically whip, like buggy whip that ball out of your hand. And you're going to get a lot more velocity. You're going to get a lot of spin on it. But if that ball's deeper into your hand, the ball's going to go slower. You're going to throw with the same motion. And guess what? The ball's going to drop maybe 5, 6, 10 miles per hour, which is going to keep the hitters off balance. Now, Diaz had some substance on his hand to spin the ball faster. So he's relying on a curveball or a slider, probably a slider. So anyway, as the story goes, after the game, Diaz insists that he had done nothing wrong. In fact, he told the Four Letter Network, quote, "I use the same thing always. I rub rosin, swear, and I put my hands on the dirt a little bit because I need to have some grip on the ball." So that's what I was explaining to them. But they said it was too much stick. I understand, but at the end of the day, I was using rosin, sweat, and put my hand in the dirt, close quote. Now, Carapazza, however, wasn't buying the argument. In fact, he said after the game, through the Four Letter Network, quote, it definitely wasn't rosin and sweat. We've checked thousands of these. I know what that feeling is. This was very sticky. Now, Diaz's ejection left Mendoza needing, of course, to call a reliever to basically clean up the ninth inning, which is exactly what happened. But the bigger story here is this guy's going to be gone for 10 days. And, of course, remember, he has only one more season left on his contract with a salary of $21.5 million per year. But he holds the player's option for 25 and 26 at $18.5 million. So look at the money that's involved here, folks. I got to tell you, this whole thing is a big disaster, a dumpster fire, and we're going to be back with more chaos in Major League Baseball here on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, WAMP.TV. This segment brought to you in part by the Sports Circus. Make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which are our podcasts, which can be found on all podcast platforms from Apple to Amazon to Audible to Google and Pandora and Spotify. You name it, we're there. You can't get away from us. Also, make sure to check out the partners page. One of our great partners, been with us for many, many years, is the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Yes. All right. And a big welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our affiliates, including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA, this home of the New York Yankees and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome in to everybody up and down the West Coast on pick your favorite network affiliate or independent, as well as throughout the Midwest, all the way over to the East Coast to Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM, even down in Auburn, Alabama, home of the Atlanta Braves, WAED 1230 on the AM dial. Thanks for joining us, and everywhere else, as well as Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, and WOW Cable Television in select markets, Hotel TV in all Nielsen-rated markets as well, gaining about 4 million impressions per hour. That's crazy. Boy, that's great for all those advertisers out there, or even those content providers. Maybe someone's a musician or an entertainer. They want to talk about their new innovative product or something great that happened to them. Guess what? Contact 702-799-9935 and learn more about Hotel Television, 702-799-9935, to learn more about Hotel Television. All right, enough of that stuff. Here's something before we get back into baseball. This drives me crazy. Now, we hear about this seemingly on a regular basis, over and over, until you just can't stand it. And it's the proverbial Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark saga crap that's been created over and over. We're hearing about it. The WNBA is doing everything they can to do what? Sell tickets. I get it. To pump up their ratings, which they were basically non-existent prior to these two playing one another, trying to recreate the Magic Johnson-Larry Bird thing. Whatever. It's getting really tiring. And so it seems like every day you're getting 2, 3, 4, 5 headlines about the same thing over and over. And you know what? Both of these ladies are probably just cashing in on this, saying, hey, thanks for the free money. And the teams are saying, hey, thanks for the free TV coverage and all this other garbage. But the reality is there is a terrible bias, as it's been said, in the WNBA. Now, we've had Alicia Thompson, WNBA champion, as our regular WNBA champion and women's sports analyst and insider. We had her when we first started this show early on. And then we also had Janelle Burse as a champion with the Seattle Storm, as Alicia Thompson was as well. And so here we had some great basketball players from the WNBA, and they really did a great job on air. Of course, they always get a nice round of applause from us. There's no once in a while they come back onto the show. And then you hear different things from some of the different WNBA players, which, I'm lucky enough to know of a handful of them. In fact, even one of the owners of one of the WNBA franchises. And so this is a little disturbing to me. So here's the great Candace Wiggins. I mean, one of those great WNBA players. And obviously an unexpected and premature retirement from professional basketball at the peak of her career. Now, you may remember Candace Wiggins is the daughter of Major League Baseball infielder Alan Wiggins, a very solid player in Major League Baseball. And so she apparently retired from professional basketball right at the peak of her career. And she went on to say these startling and stunning words. These are all quotes here. Quote, this is according to Candace Wiggins. I wanted to play more WNBA seasons, but the experience didn't lend itself to my mental state. It was a depressing state in the WNBA. It's not watched. Our value is diminished. It can't be quite hard. She goes on to say, I didn't like the culture inside the WNBA, and without revealing too much, it was toxic for me. My spirit was being broken. Being heterosexual and straight and being vocal in my identity as a straight woman was huge. People were deliberately trying to hurt me all of the time. She continues with, I would say 98% of the women in the WNBA are lesbians. And it was a conformist type of place. There was a whole different set of rules they could apply. There was a lot of jealousy and competition. And we're all fighting for crumbs. She continues with, the way I looked, the way I played, those things contributed to the tension. I had never been called the B word so many times in my life that when I was in my rookie season, in fact, I never been thrown to the ground so much. Never played with people who were obviously trying to hurt me. And then she finishes up with, the message was, we want you to know we don't like you. I was proud to be a woman. And that didn't fit well in the WNBA culture. So many people think you have to look like a man, play like a man, to get respect. I was the opposite. Close quote. Now that was from Candace Wiggins at the top of her WNBA career. Unfortunately, better, I guess, I would say better times are probably ahead for her, but it's a very difficult time. And she outlined something that I had mentioned about a week ago, and it was regarding what the standards are. And I heard this off the record from some WNBA players. And they had said that they didn't like the culture and the bias against the straight players. It was almost like you had to be a member of the club. And of course, that's in air quotes, whatever that's supposed to mean. Unfortunately, when it comes to playing in the WNBA, and I remember this, when I moved to California way back in the day, I won't even tell you the year, but it was last century. I was told when I moved from Chicago to California, they said, when I worked in a printing company, they said, to get along, you go along. Now, I never bought into that idea. And then I played baseball in California my first year outside of high school. And I heard the same thing. Get with the program. And I didn't even understand what that meant. Get with the program. What the hell is get with the program? I was never privy to get with the program. I wasn't raised that way. And I was always raised to be a leader rather than a follower. And my parents always said that to me. I'm like, what the hell is this? What do you mean be a leader and not a follower? I always thought that I was kind of a leader amongst my friends or whatnot anyway and the people around me. But the point is they beat that into my head in the same way that Candace Wiggins is talking about this in the WNBA. It's okay to be yourself. You don't have to be something that you're not, or you don't have to conform. But the message from Candace was very clear that conformity is the way to go. So unfortunately, according to Candace Wiggins, if you're not, let's put it this way, if you're a heterosexual and straight individual, apparently, according to Candace, you're not welcome in the WNBA, because she said 98% of the players are that way. Now, if 98%, I'm going to go right back to the quote here. She said, quote, again, I would say 98% of the women in the WNBA are lesbians. Okay, if you're one of the 2%, apparently you're going to get singled out, according to Candace Wiggins. So is that what's going on with some of the other ladies in there? I mean, what about the race side of it, too? Because I think the race side is also a big deal. And nobody wants to talk about it. Oh, it's taboo. It's not politically correct. You can't talk about that. Look, I don't care what color you are. I don't care if you're red, blue, green, purple, orange, whatever the hell. It doesn't matter. If you can play, you can play. If you're a good human, you're a good human. You don't have to make it about race or gender or this or that or what your preferences are. And we're getting away from what sports are supposed to be in the first place. And what are sports? Sports are actually a relief or a takeaway from politics and religion and stuff that are kind of taboo to talk about. But what they've done is they have made it a racist situation or a sexist situation, misogyny kind of an issue, left, right, and center. And they were saying, 45, well, he was all about that. Well, I think the WNBA seems to be doing a little bit of that, according to Candace Wiggins. What the hell's going on here? And what's worse is the WNBA teams, a lot of those teams, not all of them, a lot of these teams are driven by the NBA with their ownership. So the WNBA, in many cases, the teams are owned by NBA teams. So what is the message that's being sent by, I guess, the parent company, if you look at it that way? Now think about that, folks. Now look, they're taking race relations back 60 years. I mean, they're bringing us right back to division, and then they're adding the whole sexist side of it too. I mean, this is crazy. So folks, if you're going to watch the WNBA, watch it because they know how to shoot and they play a good fundamental basketball game. But don't watch it for all of the other headlines that make no sense. I mean, seriously, this is ridiculous. We're going to return to baseball in the next segment, folks. Don't go anywhere. Back here on the Circus in a few. I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time. That's 800-950-2049.
The old way of living with diabetes is a pain. You've got to remember to do your testing and always need to stick your fingers to test your blood sugar. The new way to live your life with diabetes is with a continuous glucose monitor. Apply a discrete sensor on your body, and it continuously monitors your glucose levels, helping you spend more time in range and freeing you from painful finger sticks. If you are living with type 1 or type 2 diabetes and you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you might be eligible for a CGM through your insurance benefits. U.S. Med partners with over 500 private insurance companies and Medicare. We offer free shipping, 90-day supplies, and we bill your insurance. Call us today for a free benefits check.
800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. That's 800-659-7805.
That's ridiculous.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Folks, make sure you check out the sportscircus.com's partners. Again, go to the sportscircus.com and check out the partners page. I say it all the time because these are our friends, and also these are the ones that make it possible for us for the years and years that we've been on air to just keep doing what we've doing. Of course, they always get a nice round of applause. In fact, one of those partners happens to be Al's Number One Italian Beef over at 1079 West Taylor Street over in Chicago's Little Italy. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. And if you can't get over there and go have yourself a good Italian beef sandwich or a hot dog or something really good, guess what? You can always go to alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com and pick up some of that incredible Italian beef. Or maybe you want to go to goldbelly.com. Check them out at goldbelly.com. Just type in Al's Beef and pick up your Italian beef from the inventor. They were established in 1938. And that's Al's Number One Italian Beef in Chicago's Little Italy. Yes! Man, that's good stuff. All right, welcome back to everybody on TV and radio. You know who you are. Chicago Food Favorites, of course, thinking of that. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Thanks for joining us there. And also, folks, make sure you go over there and like and follow. You don't even have to subscribe. Just like and follow and participate. Have some fun with it. You don't have to be in Chicago to participate in it. You just may like pizza, or you may like hot dogs, or you may like, I don't know, some of the favorites there. Maybe you like pierogies. There's all kinds of great stuff from over there. And, of course, great Italian food, great steaks, great Mexican food, great Thai food, and Japanese food, and Chinese food, and pick your favorite foods. Anyway, Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right, back to baseball, as I promised. How about this one? How about Blue Jays, or his name is Orlevis. Orlevis, that's his name. Orlevis. I'm sorry, folks. I'm reading it. Orlevis. I've never seen this name before, but his name is Orlevis. I think it's Orelvis. I don't know. It's Orelvis. Anyway, Mr. Martinez, we'll just call him that. This guy was suspended for 80 games, violating, apparently, Major League Baseball's performance-enhancing drug policy. Are you kidding me? Mind you, this is Toronto's top-hitting prospect, tested positive for a fertility drug. Yeah, on Major League Baseball's banned substance list. Now, wait a minute. How in the world is a fertility drug on a banned substance list? No, look, there's a lot going on here. I'm going to let this one play out. We're going to go ahead and tell you exactly what the Four Letter Network and what Yahoo Sports had to say about this. Now, the infielder, Mr. Martinez, the Toronto Blue Jays' top position player prospect, has been suspended for 80 games without pay after violating Major League Baseball's performance-enhancing drug policy. And the suspension was first reported, of course, apparently, allegedly, by the Four Letter Network. Now, this kid is only 22 years of age, 22, and had just been called up from AAA Buffalo, the Buffalo Bison, for his Major League debut. Now, we used to, one of our stations over there in our network of stations was it WLVW? I'm sorry, Yeah, WLVW, is that right? WLVL, excuse me, WLVL over in Toronto. That's home of the New York Yankees over there, and that extends all the way over to Toronto. WLVL over there. Anyway, so just mentioning that to say hello to our friends over in Buffalo, and of course supporters of the Buffalo Bison, which are the AAA affiliate for the Toronto Blue Jays. Nonetheless, so the four-letter network reports as this, quote, Toronto Blue Jays infielder Orelvis Martinez had been suspended 80 games for violating Major League Baseball's performance-enhancing drug policy. Martinez is 22, is Toronto's top-hitting prospect, and made his big league debut recently. Okay, close quote. So now Martinez tested positive for clomiphene, a fertility drug on Major League Baseball's banned substance list, according to the four-letter network. In a statement issued by Major League Baseball Player Association, Martinez said he'd been trying to start a family with his girlfriend and was prescribed a medication that contained clomiphene at a fertility clinic in the Dominican Republic. Here's where it gets a little dicey, because now he's doing this in the DR, but what's the reporting like between there and Major League Baseball? We'll get into that. Anyway, Martinez said in a statement, quote, we wanted to keep this matter private even within our family and trusted the doctor who assured us this treatment did not include performance-enhancing drugs. Therefore, I made a mistake of not disclosing this to my team or the MLBPA, close quote. Now, Major League Baseball communications said according to them on X, this was for immediate release, they said a statement from Orelvis Martinez is exactly what I just said. But they, for some strange reason, have a little different point of view. And I'm going to get to that in just a minute. Now, the Blue Jays general manager, Ross Atkins, said in a statement, quote, we were both surprised and disappointed to learn of Martinez's suspension, and we'll do everything in our power to ensure him that he has learned from this mistake. And, of course, he has our support, and we know he'll get through this, close quote. Now, with Toronto already having played 76 games, Martinez will be eligible to return from his suspension during the final week of the regular season. And, of course, the Blue Jays are about 15 and a half games behind the Yankees right now, so who the heck knows what's going to happen. But, in fact, this was his first hit. Here's a quick video clip for everybody on TV, and you can hear it on the audio side. Here, this was, according to X, by the Toronto Blue Jays.
Swinging a liner, base hit into center field. The first major league hit for Orelvis Martinez. He hits the ball right up the middle, and you can see how fired up his dad Orelvi is with that knock.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. All right, nice round of applause for him. Orelvis, they say. Now, in 63 games with Buffalo, Martinez hit .260 with a .867 OPS, 14 doubles, 16 home runs, 46 RBIs. He signed with Toronto as an international free agent in 2018. This guy's been around the rodeo for quite some time now. Mind you, he's 22, so they signed him when he was 16 years of age. So MLB.com ranked Martinez as the top hitting prospect for the Jays organization. During his 5 seasons, he's compiled a .242 average, 833 OPS with 109 homers, 335 RBIs. And Martinez, by the way, he added, quote, I took full responsibility for my negligence and accepted my suspension. I want to apologize to my teammates in both Buffalo and Toronto and the Blue Jays organization, and most importantly, the fans who have supported me during my career. Now, what I find interesting about this is this kid has been playing professional baseball since he was 16. Now, we have a rule about that here in this country, but apparently in the DR, we don't have that rule. It doesn't exist. And so there's a lot of pressure. And you may recall there was a player that had an issue with, allegedly, with organized crime and part of a contract, and that was Fernando Tatis Jr., as I recall. And I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure, in my opinion, that's what I heard. And the White Sox traded away Tatis Jr. because I guess there was some involvement with him as a youngster with contracts, and there was some kind of organized crime somehow where people were trying to take a part of his contract. I don't really know, but I guess with the 16-year-olds playing baseball, I mean, that sure seems to me like it's very easy to manipulate that situation. But let's get back to the steroid thing for a moment. So here you've got fertility drugs that are on a steroid list, or better yet, on a banned list, a banned substance list. Now, how the hell are they supposed to know that? Well, I mean, what do they do? Do they test these substances from fertility clinics? Well, this has this, so therefore it could cause this. How do they know? Did it handle that? Did it show results with laboratory rats? I mean, how in the world did they know that this is allegedly, potentially, a performance-enhancing substance? Unless it was a compound that was mixed with something else but happened to appear in a fertility drug. So it's basically on a banned list, and any variations thereof. I don't know. I mean, people complain about banned substances, and the thing that really drives me crazy is they say, well, people say we know that Barry Bonds was juicing, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, they were all juicing, and Alex Rodriguez, whatever. But the thing is, people say Roger Clemens was too, but I'll tell you this much, folks. As a pitcher, if you take some kind of steroid or performance-enhancing drugs, it doesn't affect pitchers in the same way it does as hitters. Because pitchers are just merely trying to do what? Stay on the hill. And there is no substance to help them throw the ball harder, to spin the ball tighter, and all this other crap. So pitchers should be banned from appearing on this list because all they're doing is just staying out on the hill. Roger Clemens didn't have any more Cy Youngs or any more thing like that to his name because he was allegedly taking steroids. I think the whole thing is a bunch of crap. A guy like Roger Clemens, he should be in the Hall of Fame. And you know who else should be in? Curt Schilling. And Schilling didn't do a damn thing wrong except for express the freedom of speech that he enjoys under our First Amendment here in these United States of America. Back here in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Still more to come here on The Circus.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi Code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. floor without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 702-799-9935 at 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935, or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Folks, if you want to create and host and distribute or broadcast your very own TV or radio show, or maybe even your own podcast, contact 702-799-9935 for more information on how to actually get that done. A lot of people talk about doing it. And guess what? Right now, there are about 3 million podcasts out there, but you know what? There aren't that many real radio and television shows. People seem to think that podcasts have more traction, but I got to tell you, they really don't. It's hard to explain in 30 seconds as to why, but at the end of the day, remember, a podcast is just that. You have to go hunting for it, whereas a regular TV show or radio show, you're on the air at a particular time, whenever it is, and best news is you're actually somebody's companion either at home or in their vehicle or wherever it is. But end of day, you can have your own show too, and it's a lot more affordable than people may think. So contact 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935 if you want to host your very own radio, television show, or your very own podcast as well. Yes! All right, welcome back to everybody. Listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, all of our independents as well. About 215 of those, as well as Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, Oceanic, and WOW Cable Television in select markets, as well as Hotel TV in all Nielsen rated markets. All right, welcome back to everybody on Chicago Food Favorites. We do a lot of broadcasting over there too. And Chicago Food Favorites over on Facebook. Make sure you like and follow and post and have fun with it. All right. So how about this? Sticking with baseball, and we think of, it's really expensive to go to the damn games these days. It's really expensive. Now, according to USA Today, Major League Baseball's most affordable ballparks, which stadiums offer the most bang for your buck? And we're going to give a guy by the name of Joe Mock special to USA Today Sports. All right, so this guy apparently is the one that wrote this. And he starts out by saying, quote, "To sell volume, it must be affordable. So that's my whole life story to make it affordable," close quote, Australian developer Harry Triguboff says. Now, perhaps in Australia, you can drive down the rental rates of apartments by building lots and lots of them. However, at North American ballparks, a variation on them and on that seems not to work. So guess what? It is a very closed market. And if a team wants more fans to attend, they keep prices affordable. Now, we know that, right? It's this market forces, supply and demand. And it makes sense on the surface anyway. While this axiom is true in Arizona and Florida, the formula, however, doesn't necessarily seem to fit the rest of the league, if you know what I mean. It just doesn't. And it doesn't seem to apply in the Northeast or the West Coast. So the prices to attend a game is very high, but fans continue to show up anyway, which is sort of a conundrum. But how do you find out which parks are the most affordable ones to visit? Now, it turns out that a firm called Team Marketing Report conducts just such research. In fact, Their fan cost index, the FCI, fan cost index database dates back to 1991. You're talking 33 years now. Now, when the most expensive places to attend a big league game was Toronto. Now, of course, it cost a family of four an average of $93.29 to see the Blue Jays that year. Mind you, that's way back in the time machine. Now, last year, the least expensive place to see a game was Chase Field in Arizona, where a four-member family spent only $170.09 to watch the National League champion Arizona Diamondbacks. Hey, now that's not bad. That's not bad at all. You're talking $43 a ticket, $42 a ticket. That's not bad. However, talk about inflation. Now, you might assume that the Oakland A's, of course, the lame duck franchise that is moving right here to Las Vegas after the season, actually moving to Sacramento. So they're going to play with the River Cats up in the River Cats Stadium, which is the AAA team for the San Francisco Giants. So the Sac-A-Tomatoes A's, I suppose. Sac-A-Tomatoes is an affectionate term for Sacramento, for all the agriculture. Anyway, that's where they're going to be at. But you'd think that that'd be the most affordable, but not so. They're middle of the pack with their FCI. And remember, the FCI is what? That is the fan cost index, according to this team marketing report. So their FCI is a little bit different. So we have to think about them coming in at $260.02, which is 16th most expensive in Major League Baseball. So now Chris Hartwig publishes the FCI for all the teams in various pro sports. And a lot goes into the research, including average ticket price, parking, beer, sodas, hot dogs, and a hat. The resulting FCI for a venue represents the average cost for a family of four to attend a game. Now, of course, I'm going to dispute some of the numbers, but let's just use this as a guide. It's interesting. Now, his 2023 findings helped us select our rankings according to USA Today because it's 2024, right? And 2024 isn't compiled just yet. So USA Today evaluated those findings along with ticket prices and ticket specials and promotions by team this season to arrive at our rankings. That is the USA Today rankings. And of course, thanks to Hartwig for allowing us to share his research with our readers, is what they say. So here now is the USA Today ranking of the 8 most affordable big league parks for 2024. And of course, it's not much of a spoiler to let you know that none of the 8 are in New York, Chicago, or Boston. And of course, as Colin Cushing of Washington, D.C. puts it, quote, Yankee Stadium is outrageously priced, and it took us 2 full innings to get a beer and a dog. Ridiculous. Close quote. Well, that's Yankee Stadium. By the way, the Yankees FCI of $376 is topped only by the Red Sox at $396.16.
Show me the money!
That's ridiculous. All right, back to number 1 here, which would be Chase Field for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And no surprise here, as last year was 15 straight seasons that the Diamondbacks fans paid the least to attend a game, despite the fact that their FCI jumped 11.7% from the previous year. It's interesting that the NFL's Arizona Cardinals, whose home is in the western suburbs of Phoenix, have the most affordable NFL venue, although the cost for the family to attend a football game there is $513.14. compared to $170 for a baseball game. Well, I mean, come on, folks. This is basic math. You have 81 home games in baseball. You have 8 to 9 home games in football. So the math pencils out. Look at it this way. You've got 8 or 9. So you've got what? Over 10 times the amount of games at home. So the baseball games are going to be a little cheaper because they're going to make it up in volume. So don't listen to that stat. That stat's a bunch of BS. Now, number 2 on most affordable in the FCI index is Lone Depot Park for the Miami Marlins. Now, the Marlins actually have the lowest average ticket price in the majors, coming in at $22.98. In fact, their FCI of $184.90 dropped a bit from the previous year. And if you go on a Friday, the beers are $5 all game long. But you see, now you got to remember, Peter Bendix comes in and does what? The first trade he makes, the first boneheaded play he makes, he deals off the league's number one hitter. The last two batting champions in the American National League, that's Luis Arraez and Peter Bendick, says, you know what? Tell you what, San Diego, we're going to deal you to him, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to cover his $8 million contract as well. Thanks, Peter Bendick, for, in my opinion, further destroying the Miami Marlins. Coming in third was the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. And, of course, Colonel Bucky would be happy to hear that one. Our producer, one of our longtime producer friends. In fact, with exciting young talents like Ellie De La Cruz and affordability, why would you not want to take in a game on the banks of the Ohio River? In fact, on Thursdays, there's a $30 ticket that gets you a field box seat and $10 concession voucher. That's pretty good. Now, coming in fourth, that's 2 out of 4 in Florida, is Tropicana Field for the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, of course, the always competitive but attendance-challenged Rays emphasize affordability, as seats near the left field corner are only $10. The FCI for the games is $205.01. Coors Field comes in at number 5 for the Rocks. In fact, watch for Hot Rocks ticket specials when seats are only $7.99. Like some other teams around Major League Baseball, the Rockies have launched a ticket plan where if you pay $39.99 per month, you'll get a ballpark pass that gives you standing room access for every home game that month. That's kind of cool. In fact, taking the most back in August, for instance. In fact, there are 15 home games at Coors Field, so you really get some bang for your buck. Now, one of the better parks in baseball is PNC Park. That comes in number 6 in the FCI. Kind of like that one. And the future is very bright for these guys. They've got some great players over there, too, including Paul Skeens and O'Neill Cruz. And why not invest in a 10-pack Flex Pass? And that Flex plan for $259 allows you to get from 1 to 10 seats to almost any game. In fact, use it whenever you want to as well. That's pretty cool. Plus, you'll be in an elite ballpark with the nicest views. And, of course, Manny Sanguillen's got Manny's Barbecue out there as well. Manny's a friend of the circus and one of the nicest guys we know. Coming in 7th in Detroit is Comerica Park for the Tigers. In fact, watch for giveaways on Saturdays, caps, shirts, beach towels, sunglasses, bobbleheads, and more. Tigers also have one of the lowest average ticket prices in the majors. FCI pegs it at $26.84 with an average overall cost for a family of 4 to attend a game of $224.74. And coming in 8th is Rogers Center. Of course, they just had their big prospect suspended for 80 games over in Toronto. And, of course, there's so much to like here, especially the rebuilt outfield with the group social spaces, new food items. Can you believe, I guess, some of the chaos they've created with a hot dog? In fact, $20 Canadian outfield district and all. In fact, tickets that let you sit in the bleachers inches away from the visitors' bullpen, but there, of course, when the gates open to get a spot in the front row. That's pretty cool. So look at it this way. You can get all kinds of tickets in all kinds of stadium. I still think it's really expensive to attend these games. Personally, I'd like to see the ticket prices go down. But how else are they going to pay these guys $10, $20, $30, $40, $50 million a year to play baseball? Oh, that's right. It's the TV contracts and all the betting and all the gambling. And we can't really forget about that. Now, can we? Tell you what, folks. You go ahead and think on that one, just like the whole, that whole WNBA story in the second segment of today's show. In case you missed it, go back and listen to it at thesportscircus.com and just pull the recorded show for today's date. And you can listen to that whole segment in its entirety. But until then, that would be until next time in about 23 hours. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, coming back to you with more hard-hitting content and more lighthearted content as well. So take care of yourself, and we'll see you in 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.